everyone, I hope you're all well today. I'd like to thank you for joining us as we dive deep into data integration and BI. My name is Kelsey Craig and I work in operations for BI4Dynamics North America. Today I am joined by Mladen, our solution architect and the CEO of BI4Dynamics. BI4Dynamics has been in the Dynamics and BI space for 15 years, and we've served customers across the globe. We offer data warehousing automation, fast BI, code-free customizations, as well as ready-to-use and out-of-the-box Power BI and Excel dashboards. It is important to know that BI4Dynamics also serves all versions of Microsoft Dynamics, so we truly are a one-stop shop for everything BI. BI4Dynamics has served thousands of customers worldwide. We are trusted around the globe, and we serve companies of all sizes, complexities, as well as industries. Before we get started, I just want to share some important housekeeping items. First, this session is being recorded, so it will be sent to you at a later date. As well, we will be holding a Q&A at the end of the event, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the questions panel, and we will be sure to get to them. I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today, and with that, I'll pass things over to Mladen.
Hello everyone, my name is Mladen and I'm Solution Architect at BI4Dynamics, and I will be doing the rest of the presentation on today's integration webinar. This is the agenda. We'll be looking into the integration when we have the source, the same Dynamics part, cloud on-prem, and we'll be looking into how to add external data to a data warehouse when they are non-dynamics to a data warehouse, or to add non-dynamic sources to Tabular Model here. Now imagine that you are, or you would be in the situation where the main source is Dynamics and you need to integrate any sources like legacy system, historical Dynamics data because you are preparing for an upgrade. The marketing team wants you to integrate all kind of connectors with available sources there are today, and the sales team wants you to analyze and connect with Excel budgets and weather report and who knows what just into the analytical system. So how would you approach this kind of request? Now, first option is whether you are going to choose Power BI or, in case of BI4Dynamics, our data warehouse. So in order not to comment too much Power BI, I would just like to say a few misconceptions about the data warehousing, because this is a data warehouse automation. And the content that we provide is out of the box. Implementation is really quick. And the cost of the project will be definitely higher when you're dealing with the Power BI than if you buy a license, which is also the number that you know. What is also important that the infrastructure for hosting, let's say for 150 GB data source, is not going to be more than $200 for month, and the user experience would be much better. These are just few highlights that I would like to expose. And of course the Power BI has its benefit. The easiest way I would compare it that Power BI is a bicycle which you can just jump on and start riding. A data warehouse is a car. It can get you faster, further. It requires some preparation, but if that is something that's already done, then the joy of driving a car is much better in a long term. And also, for your information, in more than 15% we are replacing the Power BI projects which are kind of struggling, not in a negative way, but it's difficult to extend the functionality, or scalability is an issue, or user experience with waiting time, it's not the best. So that is just something that you have to decide which way to go. Now going with BI4Dynamics, then the question is what needs to be done, and we're looking into today's session what and how to integrate Dynamics and prepare non-Dynamics data sources into data warehouse or into the tabular model. This is what we're going to see. So these are the three processes in integration, and they are actually also reflecting pretty much who will do this. What the integration part, adding any dynamics together, you are going to do with the software. That's the way ways to do, because it gives you the all full functionality of a source that integrates. You don't have to take an interview which application area you want to integrate, how you integrate. This is like connector, pay for the connector and get it installed. When it comes to non-dynamic sources and they would go into a data warehouse, that would be usually an IT team's job, because it is little more knowledge required, little more operation, it'll take time, and it's not going to be done every day. Most of the action is going to be done with business users who are going to extend the functionality of the corporate source with any sources, and this is nicely done with Composite Model. And this is also the beauty of the Composite Model, that it's not done by IT. IT team will just give the business user permissions and they will do everything by themselves, and not also harming data warehouse or a tabular model. They will have very good starting point and flexibility. This is what we are going to do. First part of our session is to explain in few words what are the features integrating dynamic sources or D365 in the cloud with the BC. So that's what we do. Or we have a connector build that supports Dynamics 2009 and any later version, including any later BC version. The database that we do can be live or archive, and the database can be chosen either you are updating it, it's active or not. So the architecture works like this. There's the primary source is a cloud, which is exported through web services running by the Docker into data lake, and we control the export format, and we also control the import format into a data warehouse, and here we use a polybase, so no additional software needed to interact here. And the Docker, it's pretty much like a smart virtual machine, 1 core 8 GB memory. It's like monthly it will cost you $10–15 to do this export. And that's good because you can scale up with the larger data. It works incremental and the data are here. Other sources, on-premise sources, would be uploaded in, if we have it in Azure Virtual Machine, if it's an archive part, or uploaded into a data warehouse if this is in a local environment. And the connection would be a link server, which is fast, and this is also a polybase, so it's all fine. Now, out of the box functionality supports all application area. You get granularity of document level, financial dimension, account schedule, and all the functionality that it is. The user will not see or feel the difference where the data are coming from. It is seamlessly integrated together. Now, what are the specifics? So in our case that I will present, we have 3 data sources. One is a cloud. We have 5 BI4Dynamics demo databases. And then this is a Contoso database of BC17 and another 2009. So you can see I'm creating the financial dimension for the whole company, and then I'm mapping them. And what I'm doing here is I'm mapping the local dimension, which the Dutch company that started Dynamics long time ago didn't use an English name, so I have to put a friendly name that equals to everyone. I can also make a global dimension, additional currency, reporting currency definition, new, doesn't have to be Dynamics as it has, and this is briefly the part. What are the challenges? Well, you know that they are totally different design. So if I start from the bottom, 2009 database, and we are looking into the count schedule line, has the normal name, a SQL name, is this what you get? Now with BC17, this is written as an extension, and BI4Dynamics is aware of this standard and all other extensions. And here this is a cloud version, which I explained. We control the input and output through a data storage account, and that's our name, which we decided to use comma instead of the underscore. And all these tables are presenting account schedule line. Another thing very important is, because we are generating the code, we design our model that we include the global dimensions, whether they are coming from the newer set like 2013 and higher, or 2009 and lower ledger entry dimension. And you can we support up to 20 financial dimensions, and the scripts is generated on the fly, so whether you have 1 or 10, that doesn't really matter. As a result of this transformation is the following. This is Excel report connected to the model, and we have three data sources, which is cloud, BC17, and on-premise, integrating the data. You can see it here. And also per each data source we support the functionality of financial dimension. This is one financial dimension and this is other financial dimension. You see there are some NAs, but in every case we definitely do have both financial dimension, which can be a challenge. If you are a F&O customer or partner or prospect, then everything that you have heard in the concepts for integrating two different sources is valid also here, with some specifics about architecture. The cloud data source comes through export to a data lake storage, and we use Synapse to load the tables into our data warehouse. Now the whole process is done automatically. Only the selected tables in the data lake extension have to be selected manually. Hopefully there will be some API available future. We can add one or more cloud instances and also join them with on-premise data source. Just imagine you have 150 gigabyte of your R3 data. You start light with F&O, with opening statements, and everything else is integrated with BI4Dynamics. Now here is the result of integration, just to show this is working, where we have a cloud source with controls of Azure, with the sales data. Actually these are the retail and receivables, and primary source starts in 22 and the historical source is processing data for 20 and 21. The good thing is also when you have a new data source is that you will immediately be able to use also the new functionality. In our case these are calculation groups. And it's again valid everything you have seen for the BC, which means all application area are integrated as standard. You don't see the difference how and where the data are coming from. Now there is more about integration process than just pure technical integration, and this is what I would like to highlight, because this is where you can have problems or do it right. Now first thing that's very noticeable is that technical and business process bring change. Technical process brings change to business process. It means that apart from the opening statement for receivables, payables in inventory, most of the time is definitely going to be spent on mapping old and new dimensions, dimension attributes, and that's kind of consuming. That's done by IT team usually, and at the same time there is a good time to fix errors, erroneous transactions. It is a good time to fix erroneous transactions because you may have like quantities in trillions and then you also reverse it, but not in the same day or in the same period, so the averages will go extremes, and you know the charts will not be as informative as it would be. And also once you move the data, once you keep data in old system, which users of course can access, but they want to see the data integrated, there'll be more demand because the reporting is moving from ERP to BI for the reporting. They will be using, and sometimes users start to use for pure operational reporting the BI, which is something could be still done in F&O, but knowing that the update time of the BC or ERP, especially of the Dynamics F&O, it's slow. You can open like receivables and it can take you half an hour to print or say 1000 pages, which is drag and drop in Dynamics. So definitely in this case you will have a positive impact on business. Apart from this, there are a few more technical aspects. We definitely have to check the data warehouse health. By health, by definition of health, I mean that everything that goes into this data warehouse, this is the count of staging tables, should go out. This is a count of dimensional tables. So if this is the same, if there is no difference, then we say system is healthy, which means we didn't do something wrong in the modeling, which with integration can quickly happen. And the same situation is for the data warehouse transactional tables or dimensions. This is something you have to keep an eye on every time you do customizations, and you should have a system in place that you can quickly monitor the differences, if they are, or check that everything is fine. Another aspect is you have to monitor processing time. In our case, in BI4Dynamics, we are measuring loading stage, creating indexes, data warehouse dimension, and data warehouse fact processing. We can simply see if everything is in the same range as before, then everything is fine. But suddenly, if you get something like empty or very high, you have to go to the details, you have to go to the store procedure. We monitor each store procedure that is executing and see whether it was just like you forgot to remove the filter, or there was something wrong and the number of rows inserted is 0, and that's why it was 0 also in the processing time or anything. And the system of monitoring supports also monitoring tabular database, where processing table is monitored just like if you are looking into the profiler. We have all this information. In these cases, processing time in minutes by table and event subclass. At every point, it's really nice to have the documentation, and BI4Dynamics will create the documentation for you just with one click. So you can see this is 100 pages. We can see what is the source and the settings, and one, for example, sales analysis. It gives you the information about the structures of the object measure group, dimensions, how this is built, and going to the details about all the definition of either measures, dimensions, T-SQL, DAX, anything. It is here. Now we are done with integrating dynamic sources into data warehouse, and the next step is to integrate non-dynamic sources into data warehouse. The tool in the focus will be Power Query based BI4Dynamics ETL, and we'll tell also a few words about the Power BI Data Mart, which is still in the preview. When would you use the external sources and bring the data into a data warehouse, not to the tabular model? In most cases where the changes that you do are not so common, where you would do it once, for example, integrating your legacy system, integrating the external system like CRM or Footfall if you are the retailer, or any table that would need to get into a data warehouse, so that the data warehouse model would benefit from completion, would benefit from the external data, so that data with dynamics would work together, enrich the data from dynamics. This would be done in most cases by IT teams. Let me explain how it works. Power BI IT team, customer IT or partner IT would take a Power BI, create a model where you would query any of the external non-dynamics data sources, and each table, each source would result in one or multiple queries that are a part of the Power BI desktop. BI4Dynamics ETL would read these queries and load the data very intelligently into staging area of BI4Dynamics, and then make it available for further data transformation. Let's see how this works. Now I'm bringing BI4Dynamics application, and the ETL part would be here. So when I'm opening a BI4Dynamics ETL, what it actually opens is a list of all the Power BI desktop files. Let me just show you this, which are saved into the staging area of this particular instance. So we have here 1, 2, 3, 4 Power BI desktop file, which we are using to load different data sources. So we are looking into the blob storage, we are looking into some division tables, some SQL tables, also from the same source, and the Power Query ETL for Excel. Once we are opening that button, this will open. This is the very simple interface, and it is aware that we have several tables here in the sales SQL table from now 2009. This is like dimension ledger table. If we're looking into the GL entries, if we're looking into the posting dimensions, these are just the queries that we have here. So in front of us, one of the options that we have is Excel query. So this is Excel, this is this one. As you can see, we see the columns and the preview of top 10 rows. A blob storage, again, not much to see, but yeah, this is how the blob storage data look. And this is all read automatically. Actually, there is no work. All the work is done in Power BI. And let me just look into one Power BI, which is opening at the same time. For example, the storage account here, we would go into the data transformation here. Okay, let's just have a look into, and the query you do in Power BI that you need to do in the Power BI. First it's a source, then you put some filters and everything, so it really depends what you want to do. And this is what you are doing regardless of what is destination BI4Dynamics or anything else. And then BI4Dynamics takes this query and on a deploy loads the table and creates a schema for his table inside of the data warehouse. So in this case we are already aware of this, so say we want to override, okay, we have deployed, and this is where we are processing data. So we are pushing data from a blob storage somewhere in the cloud, and here we are. Very simple and very, very powerful ETL. So let's have a look what's going on in our data warehouse. So this is our data warehouse, and this is a top table report where I'm not filtering the schema, but if you're looking into the schema of this one here, okay, then we can see that these are the tables that are in the schema that are in BI4Dynamics. Or if we look into the tables in here, there are a physical table under Power BI schema available for modeling, like that. That's working quite fast. Now the next part in the transformation, once we have data in BI4Dynamics, then we will go into data warehouse model and extend the functionality. This is how we did retail sales transaction legacy, which means going into the source table, it was based on the now value entry, like stage tables are all of Dynamics tables, and other schema are available, and we are just modeling this as every other table with all the options, functionality, where condition, custom field, doing different joins from field, enum table, hooking global dimensions if there are any, making existing dimension, and creating a measure. So this is how this is done. Again, super simple and super powerful, and actually nothing much within the BI4Dynamics. All the kind of, let's say, difficult job is done with Microsoft Power BI team, and we are just using the tool and generate and integrate the part here. Now a few words about Data Mart. So you may have heard that Microsoft announced Data Mart, which is web Power BI based on Azure SQL database. So our idea how to use this is very similar to what you have seen with this transformation. Like this is what we have, and what Microsoft does is integrates different data sources and puts the tables into a data mart. This is Azure SQL. Now currently we can browse the data with SQL Server, Management Studio, or Azure Data Studio, which is okay for viewing it. If we would like to do, if you ask, is this going to be the next version of BI4Dynamics? Absolutely not. That's like supporting very little of functionality that we do, probably programmatically not even by far what we would like to, but it extends and helps us to do the ETL part, which means that we are able to, customers, partners would create queries like we have seen it, and BI4Dynamics would read these tables from Data Mart and bring it into BI4Dynamics. So what we have is the functionality that is already there. Connecting today, it's not link server, which we would like to have, but it's a direct.NET connector, so the code that you run and do is a little more complex. However, as we are generating the functionality, it is much easier for us to generate the code than to write the code manually. And it can be very, very good. So when would you use BI4Dynamics ETL, or when would you use Data Mart? Let's say that you have the chance to use. If you're in the cloud, probably you'll go for a Data Mart. If you are on-prem, you're going to use ETL, BI4Dynamics ETL. And the future, we will see which direction Data Mart will go. If it goes into the right direction, which means supporting link server, getting, I'm sure that they will get more of the SQL commands now. They are supporting a small part. It'll be very good. Let's see. We will be developing and supporting these as a source of our data. The last and most common integration of non-dynamic sources is going to happen in Tabular Model. It will not go through a data warehouse, but it will be built based on a corporate data source and using Power BI Premium or Azure Analysis Services Tabular Model, combining with any other data source. So let's see the schema first. So we have created a data warehouse and pushed the data to a tabular model, which is one version of true. Now our sales and all departments have millions of ideas how to compose data, and that's where the composite model works real fine. So what we are going to do is use Power BI Desktop as a modeling tool, take a few tables from corporate model, just a light model. We need only to analyze sales, combine it with any other data. We are going to use Excel. And then what's the beauty? If we have Power BI Premium, we can publish this back to the Power BI service in a Power BI service, in most common, into another workspace. Not at the same, because we don't want that IT gives us access and mess around with corporate model here. And then we can analyze with Excel or Power BI. So let's see how this is done. So first we need a Power BI Desktop, and actually I took little preparation here, and we have here already 6-7 tables that are connected in a star schema because they are coming from corporate data source. How do you get this? You would just take a data from Power BI dataset and say this is your corporate data source. You would open this connection. You can then connect either to the model and select any from transactional and dimensional table. This is this list here. This is what we did to select these 7 tables. Or we can connect to perspective and pick up the whole perspective. We cannot put it into the pieces. So if I want to get sales, I'll be getting all 9 transactional tables with all dimensions in here. We started in creating a model with a pivot, with a normal table that was created as an import mode. So this forced the connection to be in a direct query mode, and Excel storage model is mixed. It's import, and this is in a direct query, which means the data are still in corporate source. That's very important. Now we are adding anything. We can add anything else that we want from Power BI to offer. This is just anything, and we are going just to say simple Excel. This is already prepared to have some meaningful data, and we are going to select one Excel sheet with this data. Not much transpiration. All we want to do is just to write a measure, so we don't use this directly. We're just going to use and create a new measure and say budget amount. Let's just say 2020 is sum of budget amount value. This is what we need to do in order to things to work properly. It's not recommended to take a column. It's not there. It's no time, and we have it. Just to put it in here, budget amount. Now this is showing the same value across the date because we didn't put this to the date model here. So our date in the model must be connected with the date dimension from our corporate model. So this is date and this is date. Be very careful in the format and be careful in the cardinality. This is many transactions we can have in the budget and only one unique date and one directional. Otherwise you may get problems with performance. Let's have a look into this now. This is how you create. Voila, you see, you have it. So if we would publish this like this in the decimal number, it's nice. Now we save this. The model is composite, which means this is working as an import mode, and this is a direct query mode. And we are going to publish. I'm logged in as Power BI, so I have the option to connect to publish data anywhere. Of course, depends where my permissions are. So I'll not go to production or to the test where developers are doing it. I'm just doing it into the reports for department. And this is where my advanced business users create reports and share it with others. If you have a small organization like 20 users, probably 10 will be advanced user. If you have 1,000 users, then probably 10% is going to be using it. Now, now we are linked in here. So let me see just the gateway. The new created model would require a gateway. So let's just have a look into the data sources. And this is the report, and this is the data source. We go to the settings, gateway. We'll see whether this is connected or not. Sometimes it takes a minute or so to connect. And that is pretty much all. Let's just reports for departments, whether to see whether this is already refreshed or not. Okay, let's just look into this. And permission that the only involvement of IT is to manage permissions, who can do what. So Excel has to be matched with the gateway. And that's the beauty. The business users can do everything by themselves. They're really good, and they are super flexible, and they can't do anything wrong because they are not. What is the beauty of the core? The modeling is they are not going to make any movements of data in terms of the corporate model or changing the model here. So the corporate model will be always there, data will be there, the one version of true will be always here. The data will go directly into this departmental model. What we were using is the schema. We took 7 tables and extended with external sources. So this is really very good for productivity, and I would say like 80% of customizations or extending the model of the corporate will be done by this. And one more thing, it's not only Power BI on the desktop or in the cloud. It's not only that. We can also go there by Excel. So that let's just do this, how to connect. We already logged in as a member of Premium Capacity, and we are going into the same account. And we know that our colleague told us there is a new report, version 2 of the model, and we open it because we prefer Excel, simple as that. It's not always Power BI. And here we go, net sales, and the rest of the functionality is here. So this is how the composite model works, and this is how the business users would work daily and freelancing around the data sources that are available around the environments.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Mladen. So we are offering a complete onboarding experience. I'd just like to take you through the process. So with this, first, you can try BI4Dynamics for free for 30 days, risk-free. The first step is that we guide you through the installation process. Second is that we work with you to select and unpack our out-of-the-box reports and dashboards to suit your business needs. Third, you can enjoy and leverage the new BI insights that you will receive and just get to know the product more. 4, we offer support as well as we check in with you so that you can tell us what you're missing, and typically we can meet all demands out of the box. And lastly, after 30 days, you can decide whether you'd like to continue using BI4Dynamics. After the trial, you can continue with the full running version of BI4Dynamics. If you decide to carry on, we will meet with you and your team to ensure everything is up to your standards as well as your business needs. We can also schedule a training session. This could be for general information as well as in the event that customizations are required. Overall, our goal is to be your BI partner across your entire BI and digital transformation journey. And with that, we will open the floor for any questions. So Mladen, we do have a couple questions that came through. The first one is, we are upgrading our AX 2012 R2 to the F&O cloud. Can we join the data to BI4Dynamics?
Okay, thank you, Kelsey. So the question is R2. Now, as you may know, Microsoft changed in each version the structure of the table, so it's not straightforward as it is with R3. So in that case, we would decide with the customer which integration, which business area we would bring from R2 into integrated solution. Most commonly, we take sales and the GL data. It doesn't matter whether we take it for 1 year or for 10 years, the same scope of work. And the scope of work would be in the range of, really depends how much mapping and troubleshooting we have with the data, not with the process, about 2 to 5 man days per application area. That is the best guess, but that's absolutely doable with the concept that we have this explained. Not with the connector, that's not, it's very difficult to do. I don't think it is doable, but with the manual integration, that is absolutely doable, and we have done this before.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I believe that's all the questions that we have today. I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone for joining us. And if you would like to book a demo or learn more, you can contact us at sales@bi4dynamics.com or visit our website for more information. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you have a wonderful day today.